And hello, welcome to Uptown Tonight. It is June, what was it, June 9th tonight? It has to be June 9th of 2021. Oh, it's been a great week, a really warm week, and we had some rain too. It's been really nice out there. But today, I am here, your host, Wade Stahlberger, or else the Wiz, was it Discount? Who am I discounted again?
Tom Cruise.
Oh, I'm discount Tom Cruise, all those sorts of people. We're here today with old Keith Johnson, and of course Cito, pushing all the buttons for us. And there he is. All right, so today we're going to get to know about Keith a little bit more and everything else. But I'd like to start off talking today again about why we're here and why we're doing this. Is mainly because, again, I believe that rising tide raises all ships, and I really like to see the art district in Fargo Moorhead to be able to expand even more than where it is actually at. So I'm just going to quote somebody that I used to watch a lot of YouTube on. The name's Louis Rossman of Rossman Group out of New York City. And what he does is he takes things like this, this is actually a MacBook Air. This is all a MacBook Air is.
That's all it is.
That's all it is, the motherboard and everything else. And he goes into component level where he finds where things are broken, and then he just basically resolders them on and everything else. But what he is doing, and what I've learned why I have this, is that right there, about the size of the tip of this pen, is a voltage divider. And I have a microscope and everything else in the next room, so I'm able to do some micro soldering and be able to switch out some of the things, is what normally blows up on these things. So it's basically a 3-cent part for a $2,000 machine, or when they're old like the ones I get, a couple $100. But it's still micro solder, yeah, nerdy stuff. But his whole idea is he's taken a wiki page out, and what he's doing is that he is putting all of the repairs that he does on electronics, because he's mostly into the Apple stuff. And he's asking other people that are experts in fixing electronic things as well, and to put their things onto this wiki, such as if you're like have this sort of a problem that maybe you just need to do this and that, and walk you through the thing. So everyone else or other repair shops or repair places has a place to go to instead of spending hours and hours and hours trying to figure out what these problems are, in order to basically grow that part of society of being in repair. So his whole idea is that sharing what he knows and trying to get everyone else to learn what he knows is to basically take a pie, and everyone kind of believes that the pie is only a certain size. So as soon as someone else is in what you are doing, they take a slice of your pie away. Well, his idea is that why don't I just make this pie bigger? If I make this pie bigger, it doesn't really matter if people start taking more slices. He's still going to have at least the part of the pie that he needs, and everyone else will be able to take theirs. So that's the same idea as why we're doing this podcast. Is we make this arts and whatever entertainment bigger, maybe we can have more slices of pie.
I like a pizza pie.
The pizza pie. So that's my rant for today. So, Keith, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, we're doing great.
Good.
We were talking a little bit before this, and basically we were playing in Findlay, North Dakota this weekend, and you said you were from Hope. Now, when I was teaching out there, it was Findlay, Sharon, Hope, and Page. It all went into one, consolidated into one thing. Where did you grow up at?
Well, just 3 miles out of Colgate, which is right between Hope and Page.
And then you went to school in Hope? When they still had a school there, or were they consolidating back then?
I went to school at Colgate.
Colgate, okay.
Through 4th grade. There was 4 kids in my class.
Nice. Yep.
And then the school closed up, and I went to Page. But in 5th grade going to Page, I was really, really nervous because the school was so big. I think there was 25 kids in my class.
25 kids?
But they were all separate schools back then.
Oh, yep.
Of course.
The schools are still out there.
Mm-hmm.
I know I used to drive by them when I was that. I'm a metal detectorist too, so I kept always like, oh, what would it be like to go metal detecting around there? But, again, I'm just nerding out.
Where the old Colgate school was, you'd probably find some interesting stuff.
Oh, I bet. No, just digging up history. But we're not going to get into that. So how was it like growing up out there? Were you on a farm?
I was on a dairy farm. It was a lot of work. So I milk cows twice a day, 365 days a year, and threw hay bales and sat on a tractor all day without a cab or a radio, and just the way it was.
You're out there with your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, it's a beautiful thing, at least for a while.
Yeah, for a while.
So, let's see, you graduated out of
Page.
then? All
Page.
right.
Yep.
And then where'd you go? What were you thinking past that?
I went to Wahpeton for electronics.
Oh,
At
interesting.
State School of Science. Well, I called it State School of Science then.
Nice. So you kind of understand what I'm a little bit talking
A
about
little
here.
bit, yeah.
I wasn't even thinking of, I wasn't even correlating any of that together. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So maybe you can show me a few things on
I forgot it all.
That's where we normally go at.
Yeah.
All right. So what brought you into music then?
Well, my whole family plays music. My mother was in a band. She played keyboards. I got 2 brothers and a sister, and they're all music. My oldest brother does a lot of singing. Played some drums in Mother's band for a while. My other brother, Dean, he's 5 years older than me. He's a guitar player, very good guitar player, and he's basically the one that got me started into playing. And then I got a sister that's a great singer.
Oh, when did all this start then? So when you're very young? So it's just like, it was just in the family.
Well, in that Colgate community, it was a small community, and there's probably, I want to say 8 or 10 families. I don't know if there's 8 or 10 families, but the majority of those families were all played music. Mother played music. There was a couple from Colgate, the Muses, they played music. Erickson, Elaine Erickson played music. And the way I grew up, when I moved away and found out that other communities weren't like that, I thought playing music was just what it was all about. I just didn't know that there weren't families that didn't do that.
So that's very cool. So the community of Colgate is just like a big musician stronghold, basically.
Huge entertainment little community, absolutely.
Nice. So how was there like places you played together, or you go to each other's houses and do stuff like that, or how would you even know? all this?
Barns, garages, living rooms.
Ah, interesting. So you have little concerts for each other? Maybe?
What's that?
You have little concerts for each other then? or-
Yeah, we just did a lot of practicing and playing, but then you'd play at all the little towns. If you did that, we were kind of talking like with Finley and stuff back then. If you wanted to play a gig or if you wanted to play a dance, you went to a small town and you rented a hall and you paid a cop $25, and mom and dad would sit at the door and collect $1 for each person who walked through the door, and then
Each security even back then.
yeah, you had to have a cop, $25 for the cop. I think a hall was 25 or $50, but Colgate did a lot of their own little entertaining, did a lot of it at the schools, things like that. But it was a very fun community.
No, that sounds really cool. I mean, that'd be a great way just to grow up, just around all that.
We had a big old farmhouse, and there was a big room on the north side of the house, and it was always considered the music room. We had pianos and guitars and stereos and amp, whatever it was. It was the music room. So
Cool. So what kind of music did you play with your mother and her band?
well, we played everything. Mother had her band. I guess I played with her a little bit, but we actually played as a family band, the mother and my siblings, once or twice. And so then if you went to that dance or us playing that one, you'd hear anything from Jimi Hendrix to waltzes and polkas. So it was just everything in between.
That is beyond awesome,
So-
man. I wish my family was like that.
Yeah.
Mine is more just turn it down. Why do you gotta play so loud? Because you have to.
Well, they always enjoyed it. I don't ever remember my parents ever telling us to not do it, to not play or not turn down. We just went into the music room and closed the doors and cranked it up.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you play bass now. So you
Yeah.
were drums and piano and all that stuff, and then
My mother was a piano teacher.
okay.
She taught piano, a lot of lessons in her home. And then she went to a couple small schools, Pillsbury and Colgate, and taught music there. So I guess we always had a piano. I took piano lessons when I was 5 or 6 years old, but of course I took piano lessons from a neighbor lady because
I was about to ask that
you
question.
You don't want to take lessons from mom.
Exactly, because I know my son plays drums, and everyone's asking, "Or do you teach him?" I'm like, "Not really. I'll show him a thing here or there, and he just kind of figures it out. I know I want to send him off to some other people for lesson type things, but he seems to pick it up pretty quick, so I'm not really too worried about him." But
Well, then when about 12, I'm a big Beatles fan. I grew up listening to Beatles. I had 2 older brothers, 5 and 7 years older than me, so whatever they bought, I listened to. So we listened to a lot of that music. And Brother Dean, 5 years older than me, played guitar. And when I was about 12, I told Dean I wanted to play bass. I was like bass. I think I wanted to be Paul McCartney or something. I don't know. But, so Dean said, well, I'm not going to teach you bass till you learn how to play guitar. Well, that kind of pissed me off a little bit, but I learned to play guitar.
What was the reasoning behind this?
Well, because I don't know. I think it's just natural that if you're going to play bass, you gotta understand guitar. You gotta understand what you're at. And I found out later, when he was teaching me stuff in the music room, I'd try something and I'd try it and I'd try it and I'd get pissed off and I'd leave the room. Brother Dean was very patient. He'd still be in there strumming, and after I cooled off, I'd go back in there and he'd show me. So then we'd start working on it again. So that's what got me into doing it. But I found out later now, because of course playing with Dean in the early bands was who I played with, was with Brother Dean. And Dean knows, he plays guitar and sings, and he knows thousands of songs, it seems like. And you didn't have 10 songs a set or 12 songs a set. You had one long medley, because as he's playing one song, he'd go into another song, and he'd go into another song, and it'd probably be songs I wouldn't know. So it helped me to be able to look at his guitar and go, okay, that's the chord he's playing. Okay, now that's where he's at. And then it was very good ear training also. So that's just the way he kind of grew up doing that. So I think there was a rhyme and reason behind him wanting me to learn to play guitar first, so that I could just sit and follow him when he wanted to take off and do whatever he wanted to do. So I'd follow along, do the best I could.
No, that is really cool.
Great ear training.
Yeah, that would be.
Of course, he'd throw up his fingers, if it was a 1, 4, 5, or go to a 2 and he'd play along, go to a 3, so pretty soon you learned all those scales and all that different stuff so you just followed along. You learn songs on the fly. So
sometimes it is the best way to do it.
You got Chris Autumn here. Says, hi, Keith Johnson.
Hi, Chris.
And then Doug Thompson says, Keith Johnson, the man, the myth, the living legend.
Who's Doug Thompson? I don't even know that guy.
Who's that guy?
I'm kidding, Doug.
Super Rabbit Fighter says, Keith is probably the coolest guy I know.
Oh, for crying out loud.
He definitely has a cool
He
childhood.
started drinking about noon, that guy.
Lucky.
Like I told everyone, I go, you're my favorite bass player in town. So
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, there's like a rich history behind him so far too. We're just starting to dig into this. This is really cool. So when did you start playing with your brother then? How old were you?
Well, I played my first gig when I was 13.
13?
Yeah.
Man.
He had a band going, and they had a booking at the 4-H camp, and their bass player couldn't make it or something like that. And I think they found out about a week before they were supposed to play, so all of a sudden I was going to be the bass player. So we did a lot of practicing, and I had Band-Aids on my fingertips, and that was my first one. And then, of course, played with him for many years, going back to that Colgate community. Good, great old friend, been friends for 100 years, Bill Erickson. Started playing guitar when he was 8, and I did a lot of playing with him. He was the same age as me, and just played with all those guys and did that type of thing. But it was fun. It was good that I could go play when I was 13 years old and 14 and 15, etc., because I was playing with my older brother. And that way Mom and Dad would say, that's okay, we can let him go play. We'll turn him loose for the weekend, go play, and because Brother Dean will take care of him.
Some supervision there, yeah.
So he taught me all kinds of stuff.
Stuff you're probably not going to mention today.
No.
That is quite understandable.
Yeah. So he was, when I started playing, I suppose when I was a freshman, he was a freshman in college. And of course, the rest of the guys that he played with were more his age, so I was the little guy.
You the baby of the group?
Yeah.
You still got the tag along, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I grew up, and Brother Dean, going back to Brother Dean, was a pretty cool guy, and everybody loved him. The chicks really liked him, and I was never known as Keith Johnson. I was known as Dean Johnson's brother. but you know, that was really a positive because it still was still a foot in the door for fun, I guess.
Oh, that's quite all
But-
right. I'm a twin, so I was always known
Oh.
as my twin's brother. So basically, yeah, you're Ryan's brother. You're Ryan's brother. That's mainly what it was.
We have
So-
a thing here from Paul Pete 1000 says, "Have Keith tell the pig joke."
The
Yeah.
pig joke. Oh.
We'll have to mute the mics for that one.
Oh, all right.
I knew that one was coming, Paul.
Well,
Thank
this
you.
one will be on the edited version.
We'll get him to say it afterwards.
And
Or
then,
maybe
we got,
during.
Pete's
Yeah,
House
let's
of
talk him
Groove.
into it later.
Says, of all the bass players I've ever worked with, Keith Johnson is definitely one of them. I'm gonna say best of probably. He's the best.
The
so.
best of this
Who
week.
was
He's been
saying
going
that?
since
Pete's
13.
House of Groove.
Oh, sure.
And then back to Chris Autumn. I met Chris Autumn. She was a bass player. I think
Yep.
I was
Oh, yeah,
asking about it a long
Chris.
time ago. Keith helped me a ton when I first started playing bass. He taught me some of the bass essentials and advised me on my gear purchases. So
Nice.
you definitely are a tree. You know, like you're sharing knowledge and.
Yeah, Chris does great. She's a sweetheart.
As I think, I might be wrong, Chris. Did we have like one jam session together with me, you, and Fuka, and then I can't
Yeah.
remember the other names? Yep. Okay. So I remember you from that. Yeah, that's
think I
pretty
remember
cool. So, so playing along with your brother. So basically, you had like a learning curve from hell right there. Am I going to be mistaken on this, and you're just trying to keep up all the time, or
Well,
did it
yeah,
become a little bit easier as you just went along, or was this kind of a natural thing for you?
It was. I just went along with it. I guess I don't remember. I suppose it was a struggle. I don't remember being overly frustrated, but I don't know. I just followed along, and I suppose at home we practiced a lot and just always did stuff. So I don't know. It was fun. I don't remember having a lot of trouble with it, but
No, that's.
I
it's
suppose
just
we did a lot of
amazing.
1-4-5s and that type of thing. So
Well,
that hit me.
Yeah, it's what the people want to hear,
Yeah.
and yeah, it sounds good. So why
And
would you
with
do it?
bass, I only had to worry about one string at a time. So.
It's the best.
That's what they always say. It's one string at a time.
Yeah.
Finding good bass players, they're tough. They are tough. So okay, so you're playing with your brother, and then I'm guessing you didn't outgrow him at any point, anytime. But let's see. So you started playing bands, and then what would be the progression after that?
Well, I played with that through high school, and then I went to Wapton, like I said.
Yep.
And ran into some players down there, of course, and I played with a band called Shandabrook down there. And with college guys, it was a college band, and that was a pretty fun group of people. I met a really good keyboard player who became a very good friend of mine, Pat Erickson, keyboards, and later played on with him in a band called Letter Buck in the
That's
early
an
mid
awesome
80s.
name.
And but played with him and Dale Massey and some guys down in Wahpeton there, and we did a lot of fun stuff. Dale was quite a vocalist. We did stuff like Uriah Heep and different things like that. And
Nice.
Gordy Bridgeford, you might know the name Gordy Bridgeford.
Yeah,
He played
Gordy.
guitar, and I still see, or Gordy's still around doing some stuff. He's just doing some recording on some original stuff right now, but a lot of fun. So I went through that in Wapton, and then after Wapton, I moved to Fargo, and I ended up joining up with a band called Uncle Slug.
Uncle Slug, but why Fargo? What brought you here?
I don't know. I just I didn't want to go back to the.
That's the most perfect
bet
I
That's
didn't
answer.
want to
say
go
too.
back to farm.
I
I didn't want to
know.
go back to the farm because that was too much work. And Fargo was the big city, and I don't know. It just seemed it was intriguing to go to the big city from
Gotcha.
the small farm. So, but joined up with a band called Uncle Slug. It was initially a 4-piece band, but then one of the guys moved away, so it ended up being like a 3-piece power trio, I guess, if you want to call it that. And that was a lot of fun. I would say we were probably a pretty loud band, but back then, the only thing you put through the PA, and we had a fairly decent PA. I think we had 4 Celtic Lansing, they were called Celtic Lansing cabinets for the PA, and I really think the only thing we ran through the PA were vocals. I don't even know if a guy put a kick drum through there, but The rest of the volume came off with the big amps on stage. You know, you just Marshall stacks and stuff like that, and then you just crank the shit out of them.
Yeah, straight up stage sound, yep.
Turn that shit up.
And now all the sound guys want you to turn down, turn down, turn down.
But that was a little different band. We did, of course, back, I suppose the music we did, I always called it underground music. That was probably before FM. You know, you really got a lot of the stuff with FM. You didn't really hear a lot of Led Zeppelin or Deep Purple or Grand Funk. You really didn't hear much of that stuff on the radio because you had to listen to Beaker Street, if anybody knows what Beaker Street is. It was a underground station out of Little Rock, Arkansas. It'd come on 11 o'clock at night, and you'd listen to it, and that's where you'd hear all the old...
You could get that up here?
Well, I don't know if I suppose you could. We could then.
Okay.
And it was a pretty spacey radio station. Clyde Clifford was on there, and he had a lot of weird noises in the background when he'd talking, and kind of a psychedelic type thing. But that's where he heard a lot of Jefferson Airplane and Jimi Hendrix and Jethro Tull and all that, which I guess I called back then. I called it underground music. You just didn't hear it on the radio. It was stuff that you went and bought. And so where I was going with that was that's kind of the genre of music, or whatever you want to call it, that Uncle Slug went into. We played a lot of ZZ Top. I don't know if you really heard a lot of radio play from ZZ Top, but Blue Oyster Cult and Nazareth and Led Zeppelin, that type of stuff. And it was just a high energy rock and roll type stuff. But kind of our fallout with that was most of it was music that we really enjoyed, the band.
Yes.
But there wasn't so much of the crowd that was familiar with it. So we should have probably stuck to more stuff like Mustang Sally and Brown Eyed Girl and that type of stuff,
Oh, yeah.
Which maybe wasn't then, but the top 40 stuff. But,
exactly.
But we wanted to be that high energy underground band, or whatever you want to call it. But it was fun. It was really good music. It was a lot of fun to play. And
well, it sounds that way. It's kind of like when I was growing up, the Metallica and Pantera and all that stuff was never played on the radio, and now it's almost just kind of a staple on there. So it's kind of the same idea. I just didn't realize that, like Led Zeppelin, that was never played on the radio, really. But then again, maybe it's just Fargo or.
Well, when I was in high school, I suppose. I don't know what year it would have been. Maybe 8th grade. I suppose it had been around 8th grade, 7th, 8th, 9th grade. We had some relatives in the cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and we drove down there to go visit one time, and went into their house, and my cousin had her radio going, and she had FM going.
Yep.
I think most of the cars back then were just AM radios.
AM radio.
And I remember hearing Grand Funk, and I think the song was In Need, if you guys are ever familiar with that. And I just stopped and went, what is this? And if you're familiar with Grand Funk, it came off of their Red album. And I'm a huge Grand Funk Railroad fan. In fact, a lot of my bass stuff, I've studied Mel Shocker, the bass player at the Grand Funk Railroad, and did a lot of learning from him. But after I heard that, I bought those Grand Funk albums, and I'm just a huge fan of Grand Funk, and I like the way the bass player played and that style of music, and I learned a lot of stuff from that.
And there's the foundations right there. Yeah.
Spent a lot of time playing along with those albums. You learn a song, you learned it off the record, and it was always hard because if there's that one part you couldn't get, you always had to lift up the tone arm on the record and set it back down. You didn't have all the fun stuff nowadays where you could loop it or slow it down or whatever you can do, But
oh, exactly. After at least starting to use YouTube, I'm like, how did we live without this?
Oh gosh,
I had no idea.
But so that was a lot of that style of music, and big Grand Funk fan because of that. But then the music started coming around. You start hearing more of that radio play. You probably really didn't hear much of Grand Funk Railroad on the radio until they started doing something like Locomotion, or and Three Dog Night was another old band you used to listen to, and you probably really didn't hear anything about them until they started singing. the ink is black, the paper's white, or Jeremiah was a bullfrog, and they kind of all leaned into this. I don't know if I want to use the word bubblegum, but into the very
Yeah, it's true.
commercial music. But I think they found out that that's probably where they made their money.
Exactly. Everyone needs a paycheck.
Yeah.
So
That
sometimes
sounds classic. Jeremiah was a
Yeah.
bullfrog.
Cito is intrigued.
Yeah.
What's this? It says Rod Opp and the Funky Bunch from Rod Opp.
Rodney Opp, yes. Old buddy of mine. I've known him all my life.
That just a shout out then, or am I missing something
No,
here?
it's just Rod Opp and the Funky Bunch. I didn't know if it
And
was
the
a
Funky
band
Bunch.
or...
Probably his crew.
There we go.
Wife and daughters. Family, known as family. His mother and my mother were best of friends. They went to school together in high school and stuff, so I've known him since we were babies.
Nice.
Doug Thompson says, Heath, besides Dean, who is the best local guitar player you have played with?
Oh, question. I like this one.
Well, Doug plays lead guitar in one of the bands, right?
Okay. Yep.
He's digging, right? I'm not going to say right now, Doug. I'm going to keep you guessing.
Oh, here we go. The intrigue. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So, okay, so after the Slug band, where did you conform it? Well, I don't say conform.
Well-
Terrible word. Okay. Where did you move into next?
Well, actually, I went back into a band with Brother Dean
Okay.
and a gentleman named Dan DeBrito. You might know him. He's been around. He's from Jamestown. Great singer. Roger Nelson played drums. Went to a band. We called ourselves the funny one. Me and Dean and Roger, before Dan joined us, we were at the band called Snap, Crackle, and Pop.
Man, your band names are awesome.
And we
love these.
We actually, Roger, the drummer, sent a letter to Kellogg's or whoever it was, because what we wanted to do is we wanted to take the Rice Krispie guys, Snap, Crackle, and Pop,
Yep.
and put our faces in them and use it as the poster,
See if you can get the rights for that.
Well, and he sent a letter asking for that, and their response back to us was, "No, you can't do that, and no, you can't use the name Snap, Crackle, and Pop."
Oh.
And there went Green Jello.
So
True
we
enough
had to
there,
change
Green
our
Jelly.
name, but then Dan DeBrito joined us, and gosh, what the heck was the name of that band? I'm gonna have a brain fart now. But we played a number of years with him, and then Wayne Mckibben, fantastic musician and a great person. I looked up to him a lot. Played guitar, and he came from Wisconsin. He played with a band called Hope from Wisconsin back in the late 60s, I suppose, and they were semi-national, I guess. He actually had a book, the Billboard magazine, that had their album advertised right next to the Led Zeppelin's album being advertised, and so he was close to that. Was rubbing elbows with fame, and he was in Fargo, and he was actually I think he was a minister at the Presbyterian Church uptown by the post office. But he heard our band play, me and Brother Dean and us guys, and he wanted to do some recording. He wanted to do some recording of some original music, and he wanted us to basically be his band. So we practiced with him for quite a while and went and did some recording. I got a site on ReverbNation.com. If you go into there, Keith Johnson, if you look under Wayne Mckibben, I think there's 6 songs under there with Wayne in it. It's really good stuff, and just spent a lot of nights practicing, a lot of nights just sitting and talking about music. And I always tried to be the best bass player I could by playing as many notes as I could and being fast and doing all that kind of stuff. And Wayne taught me that it's not how many notes you play, it's playing the right note, and that the space is a great note, the space. And anyway, just spent a lot of time with him and educating me on being a better musician, I suppose.
Exactly, musicality, yes.
And then his son, I went from there and played with a couple bands called Jessica and Dexter. And his son, Todd, was a drummer and actually played in one of the bands with his son, Todd, for a while. And Todd actually is down close to Nashville now, and he actually played with Tanya Tucker for
Oh,
a
nice.
number of years. So and he's down there. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and he jams with some guys that played with Leonard Skinner and played with Rod Stewart, and that's his little group of people he hangs out with is like the group of people I hang out with in Fargo, except on a different level, I guess. So that's pretty cool.
Maybe just a different region.
It's a different region. So, but he was a good player. But Wayne went on to move to California. Wayne Mckibben, and go back to him. And he went to the seminary, and he actually became a chaplain, I believe, at one of the prisons down in California. But great musician, fantastic stuff. Go on ReverbNation.com, look under Keith Johnson, listen to Wayne Mckibben stuff. It's really good stuff. I think I might be a little biased, but
Yep, ReverbNation.com. Yep, Keith Johnson. We'll make sure that we have a link in the description below after we're done here. So I'll make sure that gets into that.
Anyway, Wayne passed away. I want to think it's probably been 6 or 8 years ago. I think he died of brain cancer or some doggone thing like that, which is sad to hear. But very good time in my life in music was going through that process with him and learning those songs. And you talk about practicing and recording and different stuff like that. When we were recording it, when we were practicing in Wayne's basement, he had one of these little cassette players, little mono cassette player, with one little speaker. You flip it open, you put your cassette in, and when we'd play a song, in order to hear it, or if he'd want to hear it, he'd just hit record on that little recorder, and we'd play it, and the music would come back. I suppose we were too loud for the little condenser mic or whatever it was in that little player. And it would be all distorted because I suppose we were overdriving the mic or whatever you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
So we'd take and put a pillow over it. And
Yes,
that
sir.
kind of fixed it. But that's where we did our critiquing of that song, was off of that stupid little recorder. We'd record it and we'd listen to it and record it. And then we'd say, well, we need to do this and we should add this. And, that's just, you listen to it and your ideas keep changing. But we didn't have any reel-to-reels or anything digital, any of this or that, just off that little cassette recorder.
Oh, exactly. You let the brain fill in with the rest of it for you. And
And we went to, I think it was Audio Media, I think, is a studio in Bismarck. And that's the studio we went and recorded at. But a lot of fun. Had a couple gals come in and do some backup vocals. Dan DeBrito did some backup vocals with it. And then Brother Dean plays guitar on there. If you listen to some of that stuff that's Brother Dean playing guitar in there, and it's really some really, really good work.
Man, now I'm jonesing to listen to this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be downloading that after we're done here.
No, fun stuff. Very fun.
So cool. So then you recorded. So it's basically like an album EP type thing. You said with 6 tracks, you said?
Yeah, I might have been on an 8-track.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think it was an 8-track tape that we recorded on
Okay.
out there. But the only recordings I really have of that is stuff I have on my computer on that Reverb Nation. I suppose I got it on a cassette somewhere, but I don't have it on an album or anything different. I just got it on my computer, but it's there.
It's there.
It's there, yep. And then I moved to Williston for about 10 months.
Williston.
I worked
That is a jaunt from here. There had to have been some real reason.
I worked on farm irrigation,
Okay.
the big center pivots. And they wanted to move somebody out to Williston and run a service department out there. So I moved out to Williston. So I kind of left everything behind. I went through a divorce right at that time. Moved out to Williston. Wasn't out there very long, and my son moved out with me, who was only 3-4 years old at the time. But it was during the oil boom of the early 80s. And I think I went through 19 employees that summer because obviously I came out there with irrigation work from Fargo, and we couldn't keep up with what they were paying the oil field, what the oil fields were paying.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And after 10 months, I called my boss and said, you know what? I said, I'm moving back to Fargo. I said, if I got a job, great. If I don't, so be it. But I'm moving back to Fargo. So it was just a horrible experience. And just to go along with that a little bit further, when I came back to Fargo, I did eventually get out of the irrigation business, and I tried to sell life and disability insurance for about 1.5 years. And that was a horrible, horrible job. So I've always told people, if I die and go to hell, I'm going to be an insurance agent in Williston for all of eternity. That'll be my hell. But anyway, I moved back after about 10 months, and of course then you join up with bands again. And at that point, then I joined up with a band called Letterbuck.
Letterbuck.
Yep.
Aw, let's hear your band names
Barnum
are
brothers,
awesome.
Stan and Lonnie Barnum kind of started. Pat Erickson, my old friend from Shandabrook at Wahpeton, the keyboard player, was in the band. And we had a lot of fun in that band. It was a country band, but Stan and Lonnie, I was never with Lonnie. Lonnie quit before I joined, but Stan was in it. He was the front man, and he could sound a lot like Elvis. So we did a lot of that old Elvis rock and roll type stuff, along with some country, and it was a pretty good band. We were playing the Red Mill in Moorhead, which is now Chumley's, and we were playing the 410 Bar, which is now the Northern. And those were two.
That's what the
Wow.
Northern was. I was trying to think of that a couple days ago.
410
Like, this
bar.
used to
Did
be a
not know
bar.
that.
But again, now we talked about earlier. That's back when you guys were playing 6 nights a week.
Yes.
You
yes.
set up on Monday and you played through Saturday, and but I remember that band. I remember going into the 410 at whatever night of the week it would be, or the weekend, to play, and you'd get there at 8 o'clock so you could get set up, or you're probably already set up, but get your instrument out and tune it up and stuff. And they had the door roped off, and when 2 people would leave, they let 2 people in. It was packed. So
Wow.
you got there at the start of the night with the rope across the door. So those were a lot of fun doing that.
So is that just like a lot of NDSU crossover into there? Or
I just think everybody. I don't think it was so
just
much
people
a college
just
crowd.
were out and about. And what years were these, anyways? Because I know
That would have
had
been
a few
in the-
people talk about the 6 night a week thing, and to me, it seems so bizarre. It's like I've never seen it, or if I was even alive. Well, I'm sure I was alive. I was so young, I never knew this actually went on like that. But
Well, I
what
think-
years were these?
I think it was through the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
Basically, I was with Letterbuck about 83, 84, 85, 82, 83, somewhere like that. But even back when I was doing Uncle Slug, they had a place called the Dirty Bird in Moorhead. But there was clubs all over Fargo, Moorhead. You had the Eastgate, and you had Lamplight, and you had the Gaslight, and you had Sunset Lounge, and Cripple Creek, and
The Sunset Lounge in the bowling alley?
Yeah.
They had bands in there?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The
Eastgate-
Zodiac.
this
and
is-
Eastgate's the one that had the disco floor, right?
Which one?
Eastgate and Moorhead.
Eastgate and Moorhead, but they didn't have a disco floor
Oh,
back
okay.
then.
I'm
But
trying
it's
to
same
remember-
place.
I'm
They
trying to
call
remember
it
what
Eastgate,
place
but
that
that
had
was
that.
a pretty hot spot.
Okay.
And where was the Dirty Bird at then?
It's the Buffalo Wild Wings in Moorhead,
Which used to be the VFW.
VFW.
which used to be VFW, which
No.
part of that was the Dirty Bird.
Right? Wow.
And that was a hot spot. Anybody from the 60s and 70s and 80s you talk about the Dirty Bird, that's where all the big bands came, and that's where a lot of
Oh, serious. So
They had
Kirby's
bands
wasn't
ups-
even in that light then, huh?
Oh gosh, yeah, that was a fun spot.
Did you ever play the Halstead Legion in Halstead?
Played the Halstead LRC.
Oh yeah, LRC. That's what it was
Yep,
called.
played there. There was a lot of one night places. You had Red Willow Resort up. You'd probably know where that is, up past Cooperstown by Binford. There was Red Willow, Herb Johnson's Barn. You had the LRC in Halstead, Lisbon Park Pavilion, the Broken Wheel, I think was called outside of Detroit Lake, Spruce Grove outside of Frazee. But there's all those big hopping spots like that where bands would go out and play. And then of course you got into Fargo, then you had all those clubs. But the neat thing about Fargo back then, with all the music going on, was there was clubs all over, but they were all playing live music Monday through Saturday. There was just music all over the place, So different than it is today. But a lot of music.
Oh, that is beyond.
And all the
cool.
clubs did it.
So,
that
like,
way.
where all the clubs, because I always just think about when I was in Austin going down 6th Street, like, basically every club had a different genre going on, just basically one next to the next, and the next, and the next. Was that kind of how it was back then, or is everyone kind of playing the same thing?
No, I think it was. There was a certain.
What was that?
That's my phone. Sorry.
There was. I think most of it was just good old rock and roll, though. They had some country stuff going on, but back then, I think all you heard was rock and roll and country. There's different levels of rock and roll. You had the top 40, or you had Southern rock, and then you had, of course, I keep wanting to say underground, but the little bit more high energy or psychedelic rock or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But it was mostly rock and roll, I think. there's some country going on too. But I played Lorneys, which is now Rick's. That used to
What
be
was it called before?
Lorneys.
Lorneys?
Lorney.
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 Lorneys.
Okay.
That's where the boot was. It used to be an old country place. That boot wasn't put up as Rick's for rock and roll Rick's. It was put up there for Lorneys.
So that
Because
boot-
is that where they had the bull in there?
They
Is
had
that-
a bull
Yep.
in there for a while too. Yes.
What?
Is this the first band you were in?
That's me and my brother standing next to me, my sister, and my oldest brother to the right. I think we were playing our folks' 25th anniversary on that. Is that what it says down
Yeah,
below?
1969.
And now I'm going to point something out on that picture there. That bass
Good-looking
is a
crew.
1966 Fender Precision bass.
Oh, do you still have that?
Well, no.
No, I see the face.
I traded that to when Marguerite's was in Jamestown. When Marguerite's was in Jamestown, and of course in the mid 70s when I was going in Wahpeton, the big thing was Rickenbacker. So I went to Marguerite's in Jamestown, and I traded that 66 Precision for a Rickenbacker. Well, so which was probably the biggest mistake I ever made. But there was a band in town here called Gravel Road, which was a pretty popular local band, and I was lucky enough to play in a band with some of those guys after that. But Rick Hutchinson, I believe, was a bass player. He owns it, and he's in California. And I've sent him messages a couple, 3 times wanting to know if he would sell it back to me, but he just ignores my messages.
You had the 67 Camaro SS, and it was there. Sweet.
So,
What do we got
so
here?
that was a sad situation. Now that was called the Sun Blues Band. It was a Christian blues band, and the Sun Blues Band spelled S-O-N because
The play in words.
I'm on the far right. My last name is Johnson.
Are you rocking a full heart key? What is that?
Oh, that's whatever they had. That's the Blues Fest,
Oh,
actually,
okay.
the Fargo Blues Fest we were
Okay.
playing at. And the far left gentleman, there's Bill Erickson, longtime friend, and he's one of the Colgate crew. Okay? He was the guy that started playing guitar at 8. The guy with the acoustic guitar is his younger brother, Jim Erickson. The drummer is his son, Chris Erickson. And then the gentleman with the blue, the second one in from the left, that's Dan Danielson, who was good friends with all of them. And so we played. And so as you know, the names were Erickson, Johnson, Danielson, hence the name The Sun Blues Band.
Oh, nice.
But
cool.
a lot of fun, that band, and great old buddies of mine, and that was just a blast. And that's Asking for a Friend. I don't remember who that guitar player is over on the right. I play with those guys right now, but I keep forgetting his name, the guy over on the right, playing the red guitar. I think his name is Doug Thompson.
Yeah, we've heard his name a couple times.
Yeah.
Well,
I've
he's
heard
the
that.
guy I'd want to know who the best guitar player I played with. So I just got to throw that at him a little bit. And Paul Peterson, the gentleman in the middle playing the acoustic, I've been playing in bands with him for 20 years. I actually joined up with him back in, 20 years ago. And we started a band called Tow Truck Tom and the Roadside Rex. and we actually recorded 3 CDs of original music with that band.
Nice.
And some of those songs are on my ReverbNation.com again.
Oh, very nice.
And that was kind of a southern rock thing. They had 2 guitar players, a lot of double guitar harmonies and that type of thing, and had an acoustic player. And that was fun. That was a great band. And again, in the middle is Paul, the gentleman I was just talking about. And that band, the guitar player on the left was also one of the members of Tow Truck Tom. But that is Hacksaw Sweeter is the name of that band. And the drummer, Steve Grendall, he used to play with, I'm going to go back to the Gravel Road Band, and he played with the Gravel Road Band, and then some of those guys from Gravel Road, I don't know if Steve played in Gravel Road, but some of those guys went on with a band called The News. And they traveled a lot and did some recording. Stan the Man is a guitar player, and Steve Grendall, John Nyborg, Stan the Man is John Nyborg, Grendall and those guys. But Steve's fantastic drummer, still around. But that was Hacksaw Sweeter. We didn't play a lot. We played a little bit, but we actually played the venue Playmakers Venue, I think it was.
Nice. Yep.
We backed up Trampled by Turtles
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
There.
There we go.
and played a fun gig. That one there is Smoking Gun.
Is that in Specs?
Nope, that's at
I was thinking.
Argosville.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bar in Argosville. Now, the reason I put that picture there, now Julie Buck in the middle there, she played with me in a Retrolution also, and then she moved to Arizona area. But good friend Dino playing guitar, Dean Vollmer, known him since the 70s. He's also a godfather to my youngest daughter. But the thing I like about that picture is just not the old memories, but the lamp.
I know.
I was going to ask about that.
Well, that was our light show, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. But
It's
there was a
cozy.
band in Fargo way back in the '60s, early '70s called Padipto, and they used to do that. And the bass player from Padipto now has been playing with Poco, the national band Poco, for 20 years,
Wow.
I think. But they used to do the lamp thing, and then I also saw Jethro Tull live once, and he had his stage set up like a living room. He had a couch and different things, and he had lamps. So I always liked the idea of the lamp thing, but
Pretty cool.
I got voted out. People like the big bright lights, I guess.
Oh,
And that would be Smoking Gun.
that's at Rick's.
No, that's at Chumley's. Or not Chumley's, at O'Leary's.
Man, I'm striking
Yeah.
out here in the venues.
that could be.
It looks like the mirror in the back. I could be wrong.
I just see the Budweiser things.
But Dino, there's Dean on guitar, my the buddy from for still Smoking Gun. This is the same band as the one you're just looking at, except we do have a different drummer and we do have a different lead singer. Now that the singer in this is Paul, again back to Paul Peterson, who was in Tow Truck Tom with me,
Nice.
and he's also in the band that I'm playing with, Asking for a Friend. Also, he's still playing with them. It's been 20 years, I think, we've been playing together.
Nice. This is my favorite picture right here.
Yes,
Wow.
this-
Okay, you guys, which one is me? Which one is
Zeppelin-esque.
me?
Let's
I haven't changed that much. Not really.
see.
I don't know. I'm gonna say the guy way on the left with the
And
the
I'm gonna go
hair,
with the guy on the
glasses,
right.
the mustache.
It's the one in the middle.
Okay.
Ah, again,
The
striking
guy
out.
in the middle. That's Uncle Slug. That's
That's
the old
still an awesome name, Uncle Slug.
Uncle Slug. The drummer is the guy on the right. His dad worked for the railroad, and apparently there was all these old stories. These old railroad workers would talk about this old guy that worked in railroad, and his name was Uncle Slug. So that's where we got the
Oh, okay.
name from.
Nice. We're gonna put this picture in the slideshow at the end.
Oh
This is
yeah,
a nice
that's definitely
picture.
going in there.
Al Cole's on the left there. We had a band house. This right behind. Is it Hornbacher's? What is it? Right on 7th Avenue and University. What's that grocery store right there? I don't think it's Hornbacher's.
No, I was gonna say Hugo's. I'm from around the ground.
But it's just down from the college on University on 7th Avenue North there.
Yeah, it's
Right across from that
Sunmart
brewery
thing.
place. But anyway, right behind there, that used to be a Piggly Wiggly, and right behind there, we had a band house right off the back side. So we just walked across the street to Piggly Wiggly. And Al Coles, the guy on the left side there, had 3 pythons in that house, in this room, in a cage.
Oh man.
He had like an 11-foot Burmese python and two more that were 3 or 4 feet long, and their names were Morticia or what was those two? Gomez and Morticia,
Gomez, yeah.
or those 2 snakes. But
The Addams family.
but we were doing it full time then. We had a big old school bus that barely ran, and every morning I'd get up and reach in my pocket and see how much change I had, so I'd walk over to Piggly Wiggly and see how much food I could buy for today.
Like a true musician right
Yeah,
there.
and that's just kind of the way it went. And that big old bus just, we drove that thing all winter long. It was a big school bus, and it didn't have no heat in it, and
Wow.
just
Rock and roll.
yeah, rock and roll for sure. There's that again is Uncle Slug. I guess we switched drummers, and we actually changed our name to Amazon.
Oh wow. He almost
I just love the double kick up there. It's like
Yeah, look at
that,
that.
the old school double kick.
A gentleman named Timmy Loud. You might know him. He lives in DL, and he was quite the character. I think he was 16, 17 years old then. But we were talking about volume off a stage where we didn't mic anything. If you look at that rig behind me, you can kind of see it. I've got two big cabs with two 15-inch JBLs in each cab, so it was four 15-inch JBLs and a big stereo set up on top, because I had the Rickenbacker, and you could run a Rickenbacker stereo. So I'd run like my bridge pickup to one side of the cabinets through the amp on top with stereo, and then I'd run the other pickup to the other side. So I'd adjust one pickup so it was nice and clean and bright, and then I'd adjust the other pickup so it was nothing but fat bottom end, and you'd mix them together, and you had this huge fat sound with all kinds of clarity.
Wow.
But those cabinets, big wooden cabinets like that, if I played on a wooden stage, about every fourth song, I'd have to go back and straighten them out because they'd vibrate around.
That's a pretty cool. It's really old, but it really.
But
Man.
it was loud. That was a loud setup.
That's pretty cool. Oh, Tow Truck Tom.
Tow
There
Truck
it
Tom
is.
and Roadside Rex. That was our second album, Sophomore Slump.
Nice. I like the artwork on that road.
Yeah.
What road is that? North Dakota? Or
Yeah.
I suppose somewhere in Minnesota would be my guess. The band was basically located out of Rothsay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Now, you guys might know the guy on the left side. That is Mr. Dan Fuca.
Oh yeah.
Fuca!
But that was a band called The Revs, that band was together for 17 years. We were the house band at the Nestor for 8 years.
At the Nestor.
At the Nestor for 8 years.
Nestor.
That is
House
nice.
band.
I actually had a band get kicked out of the Nestor while we were playing.
Oh.
Yeah. How do you do that? I'll explain later.
That happened to be we made it Ugly Shorts night. That's why everybody's looking so stupid.
Oh, I thought really that was just
It's
the
just like
style.
pure 80s.
Oh no, we were trying to act as silly as we could. But there's
It's like
Pete.
Back to the Future.
There's Pete Johnson standing. I'm the guy in the pink shorts. If you didn't notice. But just to the right of me is Pete Johnson. If you remember on that message there, Pete's House of Groove
Yeah.
that you just saw, that's him. He lives in Delano, Minnesota, just outside of the cities.
Well, Bill Erickson here says Sun Blues Band. We're listening here from Las Vegas.
Cool. There you go. That's Bill from the Sun. He's from Colgate. I've known him. We've been best buddies for as long as we've known each other, our whole lives.
Is that wall there? Is that what they had in front of the stage before? Like
They had a railing. They see that stage was over in the corner. That the last stage you saw in the Nestor,
yeah.
that wasn't like that when we played there.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That had a little railing over in the corner. You could only get on the stage from the left side because that railing went all the way over to the wall on the right side and then was fastened to the wall. But
That's kind of weird. You had to play behind that then, huh?
yeah,
Yeah. Was there a lot of stages like that?
not with the railings, not really. no.
Okay. You just see them every once in a while. I was just wondering if that maybe just some kind of.
Things must
Not
have
that
got
blocked
crazy.
in. You might have seen some with railings on the sides, but very rare did you see where it like went across the front and like kept you away from. It's almost like that movie Roadhouse. We should put up some chicken wire.
Chicken wire.
Rawhide.
Uncle.
There's Uncle Slug.
There's Uncle Slug.
Nice.
That was when it was 4-piece. But look at the artwork on that poster.
You did that?
I don't know who did
Oh.
it, but I'm sure that poster, we probably had 100 of those posters made for about $3 would be my guess. I don't know.
Nice.
That's cool. I like
That had been hand done too,
I
right?
don't know. It's just what a horrible poster. But anyway, that's what it is.
it looks cool. It looks cool to me.
Yeah.
It looks like we pull out of an album and you're like, oh wow. Rumble. Oh, I remember this band, Rumblefish. The drummer was. What was the drummer in that band?
Well, Chris Fritz is on that picture,
Oh, okay.
upper right-hand corner.
Yep, I see him.
Yep. And then like Steve Grendall, the guy I played with in Hacksaw Sweeter, if you go back there, played
Brant-
with Rumblefish.
Was
There's
his
kind
name
of two
Brandt?
sets. What's that?
Brandt.
Yes, he was a starting one.
Yep, and I
first
knew
one.
him from the old days.
Yep. And then the bottom right corner, you can't really see him. That's Luke Haranica
What?
from 8th Hour.
Where? In there?
No, the right side.
Oh,
right there.
We don't have that picture.
You can pull it up.
Okay.
Yep.
There you go.
Oh!
And then the gentleman on the left, that's Chris Gould.
Wow.
Plays with post-funk. No, keyboard player.
Okay. Yep.
And the gentleman in the middle with the hat, that's John Stan the Man Nyborg. He's the one that played with Gravel Road and Rough Rider and The News. So a A lot
That's
of
cool to
talent,
see
lot of
Luke
talent
on
in
there.
that
That's
band.
Luca. Yeah, we're getting old.
And then Dave Shocker ended up Luke left the band, and Dave Shocker played guitar and sang with us. And then our drummer, we went from Chris Fritz to Steve Grendall.
Okay.
But that was
Sean Brandt. That was the name. Yeah, Sean Brandt.
Sean Brandt.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Smoking gun.
The
That's
Smoking Gun logo. That band was together for 9 years, I think.
not together no more. I
No.
still swear I hear that name once in a while. Smoking gun or that 6-gun. There's a lot of never mind.
A lot of guns.
I'm blabbing. What's this?
That's the Ringers. It's I've got on back to my reverbnation.com. We recorded an album. We recorded that at Mike Bullock's studio in Moorhead. If you remember Mike Bullock from Mike and the Monsters,
Oh, Mike and the Monsters, yeah.
and he also sang the commercial for Sight on Sound.
Yep.
That's Mike Bullock. But
That's-
anyway,
That's
They're
right. I
local.
completely forgot about that.
we
I
recorded this at his studio, and he actually sang probably 3 or 4 songs on that CD. So if you go listen to that on reverbnation.com, you'll hear Mike Bullock's voice in there. But that was a fun bag. Mike Carbone, who plays with the blues band in town here, he owns that drum store over in Moorhead.
There we go. I
Yep.
was like,
He's
sorry,
the
Mike.
drummer
I
in this
should have.
band.
That should have been the first thing in my mind. I didn't even think of that.
and Mike Jenkins is playing keyboards. He's Deb Jenkins, the singer,
Yeah.
Deb Jenkins.
her husband.
Okay.
Deb and Mike Jenkins, he played keyboards, and then Kenny Gilbertson, guitar player from Jamestown, and that's all original stuff on this album too,
Nice.
and myself.
Oh, and there
Yep,
we go.
Same photo.
That picture was taken the night that we backed up Trampled by Turtles.
Oh, sweet. I like the old black.
Yeah,
Yep.
kind of a
Nice
cool
and
picture.
sure. Like it. Oh,
And that's a horrible picture. The guy on the right over there. Never mind.
Let's focus him. Let's focus him out.
all right. Well, we better get to figuring out what's going on out there this weekend, though. So, Cito, what are we doing this weekend?
Hey. Just hanging out here with everyone. So what we got is the Uptown Report at the Windbreak. We got October Road on Thursday, and then Jacked Up is on Friday. And then Drink 182.
Yep.
Oh man, Saturday night. The Shooting Star has Rick Monroe Friday and Saturday. The Roadhouse has Brianna Hebling on Saturday. Finley Days is Mike Morris is doing an acoustic show during the daytime somewhere. And then our band Uptown will be rocking the street dance that night from 9 to 1. The original and they have Buck Cherries on Thursday. And then we were scheduled kind of to be on Friday, but then that didn't work out. So we're not playing there on Friday though. So
Well,
that was just a misprint there. Sorry about that.
yeah, too bad.
The Rocking Horse has David Lee Jones Tuesday to Sunday.
Yes. The Rocking Horse is still one of those places that
Oh,
have
yeah,
play
okay.
all week long. And their little guest house that you stay in, whew, yep. Bring your own clothes, people.
And
Or
then
bring your own bedding.
Our favorite place in the Bismarck Mandan area, the Laughing Sun Brewery. The Tiger Lily sisters are going to be out there on Thursday. Chloe Marie and the band Friday. Stage Stop Saloon in Mandan has Savannah Benz Friday and Saturday. And then the Downtown Report at Dempsey's, we got Pooting. And then Fargo Dome Rib Fest is going on Wednesday. Saturday tonight is Warrant with local band Ruckus opening up for them. And then Pub West, we got Rick Adams out there on Thursday. And then the Aquarium Shred is Dead on Friday. Saturday night live with Fly or Die.
On Saturday. I think that's some kind of DJ thing.
Oh, okay. It's called Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, that's what they had down. So
I'm
I don't know if that's
calling
the name of their show
Lauren
or
Michaels
what.
right now. The First Lutheran Church has a summer concert series that's tonight.
Yep.
And then the downtown, we got the Three Lions Pub. We got Mick Klein tonight, and then Silver Dollar Flying Pig. Mike Morris is on Thursday. Gordon Christensen on Friday, and then the Edgewood Tavern has Dan Christensen doing an acoustic show tomorrow night. So, and then and that's where we are.
That's
So
what
that
we
that
have.
is the music report here in town. Cito, and I'll give it back to you, Wade.
True, and we are back. So I got one more question for you. What was the ultimate show you've ever played besides Trampled by Turtles?
Oh gosh.
I think the one that just sticks out every single time.
I don't know. I don't know if can think of any particular one. Trampled by Turtles was, of course, a lot of fun.
So they're just all that good.
Just all that good.
Well, hey, that's one way to think about it as well. It's awesome to hear from where you came from and that you're still doing it, and doesn't look like you're planning on stopping anytime soon.
I don't think I will. So I want to put a plug in, though, if I can.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Asking for a Friend. Great band. We're playing. It's the first time in my life this weekend, Friday and Saturday, we're playing 2 street dances in the same town. So we're playing Friday night, street dance in Oaks, North Dakota.
Oh.
And Saturday night, we play street dance in Oaks, North Dakota.
And how did I miss that from putting it on there? So, yes, thank you for plugging that. I should have had that.
And then
shame on me.
Next Thursday from like 6 to 9, Retrolution is playing outdoors at Tailgaters.
There we go.
In town.
And that's like I was saying before the show. I said Retrolution. I saw you guys playing. You're one of my favorite bands in town to listen to. So if you get a chance, go out there, listen to Retrolution. They are amazing, and you're gonna get a lot of bass guitar. So.
And one other thing I want to say is through all these years and everybody I'm talking about up here, I've had the chance to play with a ton of really, really good musicians, and I want to thank all of them for allowing me to be a part of that. So that's really cool.
Yes. That journey that you took, magical, man. We're going to bring you back just so we can get you talking more, because I'm sure we just barely scratched what was actually been going on out there. But we are running in our timeline here. So I'm going to let you think about that ultimate show that you've always played. And it doesn't really matter for what reasonings, but just like the one that is like, wow, if I could do that one over and over again, I would. I'm going to hold you up on that one. And we're going to do a little juvenile destruction here. So here's this week's Off the Roof. Go.
Like that.
Perfect aim too. You're hired. I don't care how old you are. When you break something, it always makes you smile. I don't know why. Yep. Yep, that poor coffee maker. It met its match. So, let's see, Mr. Keith.
Yes, sir.
Ultimate show.
I don't know why I didn't think of this. When I was playing with the band Letterbuck, we played at We Fest, more in '84.
Nice.
And I remember, shame on me as a bass player, I play with the pick most of the time. And I know bass players shame me on that, but that's what I do. But I remember standing on the stage of the We Fest stage and just plugging my amp in and strumming it or just making sure everything's working. And of course they have this monstrous PA out front, you know. And I remember just taking that little pick and plucking the string, and I could just hear my guitar just bounce around out in the audience, but out in the out area. But huge PA, and that was a lot of fun. But more in '84. But again, that was in 1984. I think that was the second year of We Fest.
Second year of We Fest.
And Colin, who's the politician from Minnesota, Colin Peterson. That was with Letterbuck, and apparently Colin Peterson knew the Barnums. And he actually got up and played 2 or 3 songs on guitar, and we backed up Colin Peterson at We Fest.
That's pretty sweet. In 1984.
So, more in '84.
Yes. More in '84.
Yeah, I saw somebody wrote that here. More in '84 We Fest.
Yep. Someone else was talking about it already. So very cool. Thank you for joining us tonight, there,
thanks.
Keith. And yeah, we're definitely going to have you back just to talk more about the old thing. I mean, you're going into those old venues that I've never heard of before. This is, I don't, to me, that I don't just love the history and all this stuff. So excellent. You can catch them out at Oaks this weekend, and you can catch us out at Findlay this weekend, and you can also get us on uptownbandfargo.com, or you can write us or donate stuff or off the roof if you like to. You can get a hold of us at Uptowntonightpodcast at Gmail, or again, just go to our website again, uptownbandfargo.com. You can find all this contact information there. And thank you again there, Keith, for being here. Anything left for the good of the order?
Oh, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No, it was
fun.
awesome having you. It was great. All right, Cito, anything else?
I got
Cito
just
has
me right here,
something.
just waving goodbye to everyone. I want to point out that that we put up all this cool stuff in your room here of all your '80s nostalgia, and I hope people notice all the stuff we do, and we move little things around here and there. But otherwise, not. I think it's pretty cool. So.
Nerdery. So remember, when your drummer is more charisma than your lead singer, your band might be in trouble. That's why mine's doing just fine. So until next time.